Brodes Media.
I am going to say this right from the top of the show. If you are scared of the Mets, if you think the Phillies are going to lose this series, get the fuck off this show. Do not fucking listen to this show. You gotta believe, do not diminish who the Phillies are. Don't downplay their greatness. Don't downplay the fact that we got Zach Wheeler arrested and our team was chilling while the Mets went to war and had to tax a lot of their guys and put in a ton of energy. The Phils deserve to buy, gain the advantage, and they're going to take advantage of the advantage because they're a great baseball team. I was rooting for this. I thought it would be electric. And not only that, I have faith in the Phillies. I want to be the team to rip it out of the chest of those dumb, idiot Met fans. The ones who think this is different. The ones who think this isn't the same Mets anymore. We got a real president now. We got an owner. Yeah, but you forgot to mention you had the Phillies in your way. What I'm not going to do is pretend that because they had a record, they being the Phillies, after a certain point, you're not really putting stock into the hot run they had because it was so early in the season. Shut it! This is one of the best teams in the league. And there's no way in hell Bryce Harper, Zach Wheeler, Kyle Schwarber, the leaders who are hungry as hell, they are not going to let this division rival and their, quote, hot run be what stops them from making another serious push. Did you hear John Middleton today on WIP in tears explaining how important these playoff moments are? Did you hear Bryce discussing how ready to go he is? And what this time of the year means to them? I'm telling you, the scrappy little Mets will not beat the Phillies in the NLDS. They are going to be even more focused than if it was the Brewers because of all this silly narratives. Which, whatever, fine. But you're going to see. I can't wait till Saturday. It took me a little bit this week to get here. I had to filter through all the garbage of the Eagles. Good thing it's a bye week, so I can set aside all the stupidity in the NovaCare complex and focus on what really matters here, and that's Schwar bombs. That's 99 from the gun when it comes to Zach Wheeler throwing his heat. The adrenaline adds an extra bump to it. Everyone rising. How loud it's going to be. Man, I won't forget what it's like to be in that building over the last couple of years. The entire structure is shaking and it feels as if you're going to collapse. Phils will not lose in that environment. I'm telling you. I'm excited for the matchup. I'm confident in the matchup. A lot of decisions made by Rob, or will be made by Rob. That's going to be fascinating, but I'm so hype just in general, it's hard for my brain to even consume it. It sounds like Sanchez is going to be the number 2, so Nola is a good comfort, a good blanket on the road for the first game away from home. Sanchez's splits indicate he does significantly better when his own crowd is behind him, and this is the first time he's getting a real look at it. Last year, they had such a tiny leash on him. He didn't have the role that he has worked himself into this season. Now it's, go win us a game. You're backpacking attacking Zach Wheeler, that's a take the ball and let's have at it. You got to be a spectacular dog out there today. It's a big spot for him. It's probably easier to transition him into a role like that when there's 40,000 on your side. And yes, I said 40,000. I'd be stunned if that place is covered in blue and orange like we've seen in some regular season games, and we bitch every time it happens. I can't believe we let that gross set of human beings in our town and in our park. And, that's what we pretty much discuss every regular season series. It is a disgrace. This is different, though. This is one of the best environments to play at in all of sports when it comes to their respected playoffs. We know that. We know the edge that it gives our team. We're not selling tickets to enough Mets fans where it makes a difference. No shot in hell. Come on, baby. Come on. There's too much pride. There's too much pride to lose to the Mets. On the line, I'm saying. And they know that. Pete Alonso is a stiff. Wait till you get a taste of when Bryce is locked in the playoffs. You don't have enough to compete with this, and their bullpen blows. Once you start getting into that pen and over a 5-game sample size, you're going to see that some of these offensive players are going to take advantage. Nick with a double, Bohm with a double, Bryce with a single, Steele second base, Trey before him walked. I'm telling you, the Mets will probably blow 2 saves in the series. Phils win big. Advantage Phils. Don't let your anxiety take away from what the players on the roster deserve. And that's our unconditional love for this run. There's standard anxiety allowed. It's a slow-moving sport. Every pitch matters. The details are so magnified, right? So I get it. If you're going to a commercial break, or if Rob Thompson comes out and points to the bullpen and you're getting somebody new up and, you're just starting to see the intricacies of the game slow down and you have to pace a little bit, fine. But just know, whatever you're worried about with the Phils, all these other teams go through something similar. Let me put it to you this way. If the Phillies won an important game the way the Mets just did, I promise you there'd be a lot of negative fans saying, that's great, but you can't sustain winning that way. Going quiet for 8 innings? Nobody gets a hit except for one person. Maybe in our eyes, it'll be Bryce Harper gets a couple of hits. That would be equivalent to what Francisco Lindor did. So you'd probably say you got lucky. You hit a home run late, and that's great. You survived. But you can't really win that way on a night-to-night basis. That's how you'd pick it apart if the Phillies were the team doing it. But if the Mets do it, they're scrappy. They never die. They never give up. Well, it can't be both. The Phillies may have some inconsistency with their offense. They may strike out at times. So do the Mets. And so do all the teams competing in the playoffs. I looked it up pretty recently. 16, 17, 18, 19, all those teams where the Phillies were located in regards to strikeouts this season, all the teams left fighting for a World Series. So if they do, quote, strike out a lot, so do all these other teams. And you might say, well, I don't care about these other teams, but I'm just telling you, how do you separate you're striking out a lot, or it's just the game? Because Zach Wheeler's going to strike out 9. When they strike out 9 times, do you look at the other team and say, they have a strikeout problem? Or you go, wow, Zach Wheeler's an ace. Zach Wheeler's a star. Some of these strikeouts won't be strictly because their identity is a problem or they have a horrible approach at the plate. Some of it is just the nature of the flow of the game. And the other teams have a nature of the flow of the game just as much as the Phillies have a flow in the nature of the game. So once again, it goes back to this Phillies team has a significantly higher chance to win than something. I'm just trying to prove to you reasons why it's silly to feel fear. And prior to even seeing the Mets win, there's been a lot of controversy about how you should root for the first round. Fellas, the wild card series is not the divisional series. That's great. You beat Milwaukee. Seriously, that's a good, solid win. Congratulations. You could tell what it meant to Pete Alonso, who's been getting ridiculed for his season and then also missed a fly ball in foul territory. Francisco Lindor, you can see how happy they are. They're happy for a reason. It's a cute little win for them. But now the real playoffs begin. That was essentially to get into the playoffs. Now, the big dogs are here. And because of the preparation and the idea and the philosophy of this week and the way the Phillies handled it, I'm not concerned about a slow start. I think they knew about the bye, had it on their checklist. Win the division, check. Get a bye, check. Prepare all week prior to your first playoff game, check. That was on the checklist. They didn't just skip to get a bye. Okay, now let's go win a championship. It was, what do we do to put our team in the best position possible so there are no excuses? And they set themselves up for a spot where, of course, they can't use it as an excuse. They knew about it. They talked about what they were going to do to put them in the right positions. So, I don't doubt them for a second that they went through all the proper protocols to be ready for the first pitch. The Houston Astros were great 3 years ago, whatever the hell it was, a few years back. No bye stopped them. If you're supposed to be the team, to be a champion, if you're supposed to be the best team, then that wouldn't stop you.